and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill.
This is a technology, it's a computing language, and I can build an app on it.
Is Bitcoin the currency of the future?
Crypto gang, it's the game, big gang, alt gang, light gang, cash game, blockchain. Whoa, I don't really ever buy stocks, man. No. Haters wanna say I'm in a bubble, man. No. Chew them up like bubble gum. No. Just made a meal with my pocket change. No. Wreck about to go and join the huddle gang. Huddle gang, huddle gang, huddle gang. Crypto gang, it's the game, big gang, alt gang, light gang, cash game, blockchain. Whoa, I don't really ever buy stocks, man. No. Haters wanna say I'm in a bubble, man. No. Chew them up like bubble gum. No. Just made a meal with my pocket change. No. Wreck about to go and join the huddle gang. Huddle gang, huddle gang, huddle gang. Ethereum pays for my rent. Bitcoin pays for the vent. Litecoin pays for the jet. Bitcoin cash for the rest. Spent 30 racks on an ICO. What coin did you buy? I forgot, yo. Just got started last night, bro. And I'm already hooked like a pipe stove. Flipping the coin, making it grow, taking it slow, letting it go. Cash flow's growing, it's incredible to watch it flow. Stacking the cash, taking it home, making it fast. I'm on a roll. Little bit mo's all I ask for the bubble though. Currently learning about a new type of currency. Burning the dollar down like an emergency. Urgently, listen, my friends have been urging me. Coins have been surging, we're earning like surgency. We on a mission, man. Crypto maniac. Act like you don't really know about it. Stop that. Bitcoin blowing up like a bomb. Step back. Used to be a couple $100. Should've copped that. Blew up on the scene from the mind of a brainiac. Back in 2009, where the miners at? Silk Road, baby, it's gotta be anonymous. Satoshi blew up, now we on the map.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again for another episode of Crypto Portfolio Updates. But before we get into the show, we got to take a moment to say thank you to the sponsor of the platform and the show, Delta Investment Tracker app. If you have not delved into that, there is a link down below in the description. I do not get anything out of that. There's no kickback for me for that. It's a product that I use myself in my daily portfolio tracking crypto adventure that I'm on. And I really like it. And they've offered to sponsor the show. One of the things that they like to see is who's finding them via their content creation strategy. So if you guys could smash that link and give the app a try, there are a ton of free features that I do see value in, along with the pro features that add a little bit more in, actually, not even a little bit, a lot more in-depth analysis of your moves, positions, how it compares to other asset classes, so that you can actually see how you're doing, how your trades are going. It also checks your traditional finance portfolio box. The other thing that we've got to do, we got to give shout out to the bag chasers. Shout out to the bag chasers. You guys get this 72 hours before the general population does. All the normies, you get a little bit of enhanced alpha as being part of that network, as I am part of that network. What are the bag chasers, you ask? That is a Patreon group. It is not my Patreon group. It's Anton Daniels of AntonDaniels.com's Patreon group. Link down in the description. I don't get anything for that either. It's just I'm over there and then we have some good conversations, and it's a good place to join up. Also, if you're ready to take those conversations a little bit more in depth, getting further into the weeds, join us over at Circa 84. Now, I do have a referral link to Circa 84 down in the descriptions. They also get my content 72 hours before the general population, before the normies, before everybody else, up until when we get a membership status over here on YouTube. Should we ever get to the point where we get monetized on this channel, we gotta get some more people in here. By the way, if you view the content, like the content, consume the content, definitely make sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. Turn the bell notifications on. I'm not one of those content creators that's trying to live here. I do not flood my feed or my people with constant notifications of me doing random uploads of stuff that doesn't really matter. Just for the sake of uploading things. We are going to be reinstating the Guns and Butter clips. We're going to get back on that schedule now that we're caught up on our content recording. But that aside, it's basically like 3 uploads. It's 3 uploads a week, 2 uploads on a live, something like that. Maybe we'll get to like 4 once. Maybe we'll get a little bit more once we get the clips on, but I'm not constantly flooding the YouTube verse with me. Yeah, so Like, share, and subscribe. We're not trying to get broke over here in the Wolfpack. We're not trying to get rich over here in the Wolfpack by ourselves. We want some people joining us, as many as we can get to. We're trying to orange pill as many people as we can. We're trying to financially red pill as many people as we can. We're trying to help people improve financially. Once we get the new camera, we'll add some health and fitness content, because those are other things that are of interest to me. But we're just trying to get the word out here and document the journey as we're making it. Now, let's jump into the show, starting with the fun part. Let me get me little, because this ain't about me. This is about the information. We're going to start off by noting that Bitcoin dominance, we are still in Bitcoin season, sitting at 49.4%, ETH dominance at 15.5%. Gas prices down currently to 21 GWEI, for those of you who want to be technical. Top 3 trending coins right now. We have Strike X, DAO Maker, and Wi-Fi Map. Not familiar with any of those. Let's jump into the next fun part that everybody likes. The top 5 gainers and losers over the past 24 hours at the time of recording. At number 1, we have it ranked 506 on the gainers list. We have Nulls in ULS, and they have had a gain of 57.6%. Looking like a pretty sideways day in the crypto market, a little sideways up, some healthy retracements, some repositioning, which Bitcoin has been going through. At number 2, at rank 319, we have Toshi, Toshi, with a gain of 45.7%. At number 3, we have Doge Eat Doge, at rank 808, OMNOM, with a gain of 44.1%. At number 4, we have at rank 709, we have Kratos, CRTS, with a gain of 42.8%. And last but not least, at rank 528, we have IDEX, IDEX, with a gain of 40.4% in the last 24 hours. Now we're jumping over to the losers list. Looks more like a healthy retracement list today. At number 1, at rank 565, we have MAP Protocol, MAP, with a loss of 21.8% in the last 24 hours. At number 2, we have at rank 596, Syncus, SYNC, with a loss of 18.3% in the last 24 hours. At number 3, we have at rank 562, Axon DAO Governance Token, AXGT, with a loss of 15.5% in the last 24 hours. At number 4, we have at rank 986, Aegis, AI, AEGIS, with a loss of 15.2% in the last 24 hours. And last but not least, rounding out the end of the top 5 losers list, we have at rank 539, Agorist Currency of Tau, AGRS, with a loss of 12.8% in the last 24 hours. That rounds out our list today. Very, very peaceful day in the cryptocurrency space. Now we're going to get over to the portfolio. As we can see, we've been making some buys. We've been buying, which means that our profits that we had, we're buying into positions that we previously had. We're bringing down the dollar cost averaging, and we're going to have a little conversation about how to identify the dip, because everybody says buy the dip, but nobody explains to you what the dip is. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you the secret sauce as to what they're saying. Now, at least from my perspective, the way that I invest. Now, we are down. We're at 24%. We're still up above the S&P 500. We're probably doing better than most of your favorite gurus because we are not actively trading. This is a very, very long play. Like, I guess the trade is over the course of the next 16 to 24 months. And, we we've got some metrics we're looking at. We're still in Bitcoin season, which means we're still buying and actively moving into alts. As we can see, I got the pie chart out here for those of you watching the video or wanting to tap in. I got the pie chart up so that you can see a pictographic out overlay of the portfolio and what it's currently looking like. We're also going to jump into the top 10 holdings. Actually, you know what? I think I'm gonna drop the gym in the middle of the video, and then if you want to stick around for the news, let's go ahead and stick around for the news. What is the dip, you ask? Now, when we look over here, the dip for me are positions that I'm actually negative in. So, for instance, if we're looking at the top 10 list here, since we bought Lido Stake Ether on the last pump that we just retraced from, we are down 13.6% on that position specifically. That is a dip, technically speaking. But by my rule set, over 10%, we can consider that a dip and we can go in on it. But this is retirement savings. This is extremely long-term. This goes in the ledger and doesn't come out. So I'm not even worried about that dip because that's what we're shuffling things over into for the end of the year. And we just started a little bit early because we got a big chunk of our profits back. And I didn't want to put it back into play in that respect because the whole premise was that was the starter money for the portfolio to kind of jumpstart it. And once we got it back, I just didn't see the point in holding it in that stance any longer than what we needed to. So that's one that we could be considering a dip. Where else are we currently lacking? We look at the underperformers in our portfolio. So I'm looking at Osmosis. I'm looking at my TIA position, both of which we are now up to. Now, when I originally started buying over this weekend, these positions were legitimately over 20% a pop. And scrolling down, what else do we got to look at? So like whales, actually, we did a buy on whales as well. Gamma Strategies. Now, see, that is over on the Ethereum network. It is really hard to get those buys in because I gotta wait until I'm buying into the market to get into that gamma position because reason being the fees are so high that buying into those positions, you're buying in at a loss waiting for the gain. So Gamma Strategies is another one that we're going to be looking at moving forward now that it's fallen into the underperformance position. But like realistically, my Prisma governance token, that's another one that we could go do a buy on. We're down 48% on that one. But that's not even in the top 10. That's not even a top 10 holding. Another one that you could look at is Parallax. I'm parting ways with that position. It dudded out on me. But, you know, we're eating off what was there, but good golly, it did not do what we thought it was going to do. That is one implication of AI that did not work the way I thought it was. We're still holding that bag, but that's only because we eaten off of it. But as far as positions that we're adding in and we're going heavy on, we're looking at that Prisma governance token. That could be a good one as long as we can get a big buy because, again, that is over on the Ethereum network. So the fees are going to be atrocious in comparison to anything else. Ethereum is not a poor man's chain, especially during the bull run because the fees just get outlandishly ridiculous. So Gamma and Prisma is going to be touch and go. But the Prisma governance token, I do believe that during the bull run, once Ethereum gets to move in the way that it needs to, that's going to be a position that, you know, this could be a really good dip to buy your entry level down. And it is down in no man's land on the market cap list, which is good, just like Gamma Strategies also down in no man's land. They're in the thousands. That's high risk, high reward play. So we might have to throw a little bit more into those because especially with the Prisma governance token, we get paid to hold. So I can't complain about that. But I actually had very few positions, especially ones that I'm looking to get moved up into the top 10 holdings I had very few positions that were actually in the dip. As you can see, everything else is green. Now, just because the price goes down does not mean that it's a dip. Solana, the price went down, but we're still up 73%. That does not constitute a dip for me. If I'm in the green on a position, that is not a dip because that's not bringing down my average buy price. So when people see the numbers go down that don't actually track their portfolios and don't know what their average cost for per token is, that are trying to manage a portfolio talking about buy the dip, in a lot of cases, what they're doing is they're buying themselves into a worse position. When money comes into the market for me, unless it's going into Bitcoin or Ethereum, everything that I buy, especially once we turn bullish, needs to be on a dip. Like I need to be bringing my cost basis down. If I'm not bringing my cost basis down, especially on something that's getting converted over into Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'm not helping myself. Like there's no helping me when I'm buying into a token and driving my cost basis up. So what I'm looking at when I see these dips and see people talking about buying the dips, I'm looking for 10% or more. I want a discount and I want to get a chunk of money in there so that I can drag that cost basis of what I'm paying to get into these projects down. I want them to parity. I want them to be even. Like I want it to be as close to whatever the dip price is as possible. And then hopefully it doesn't dip further below that. But I mean, I've bought down before, but you have to know what buying down is. Just because the price is lower does not constitute a dip from an investment standpoint. Because if you're buying the dip, but dragging your cost basis up, if you're not actually long that project, or it's a project that you're doing a long windowed trade, for instance, like what we're doing over the bull run, you're just putting yourself in at a worse price unless it's something where it's a new position and you have a set amount that you're trying to get into that position. I won't argue that. So for instance, if I say I'm entering into a position and I start the position, I'm dollar cost averaging in, and say I have either a set token amount that I'm trying to get to or a set amount of funds that I'm trying to put into that position. So for instance, if it's $1,000 and I'm doing $250 chunks, there's going to be 4 buys. And I buy the first one, price goes up, buy the second one, price goes up. So now I have a pretty high cost basis. Or my cost basis is set, but I'm in profit, and then it dips back a little bit, but I'm still in profit. I'm going to make that last buy to finish out that position specifically. Once the positions are set, though, when I start flooding money, when I'm bringing money in to do my dollar cost averaging, and honestly, in situations like this, like if the market's not running and you're seeing a lot of red, like if you're looking my 7-day chart, a lot of red. There's a few green positions, but most of it's red. Most of it's just red. And so everybody's going by the dip. Now, out of the positions that I'm actively still funding, there was only 3 positions on here. Well, yeah, 3 positions on here that I'm trying to get in position on that are actually in a dip right now. I mean, I guess if you count Gamma and Pulse, but Gamma and Pulse are kind of like, I got to save up for those. Those are going to take a little bit more strategy because they're on a chain with the fees high. So like the positions that I have might just be the positions that they're going to be. We'll see. But I only had 4 positions that were actually in what I would constitute a dip, in which case where it's like, because over 10%, which when I made my buys, Osmosis and Celestia were both over 20% dips. But over 10%, when you make a decent or substantial buy, it's going to drag your average cost down. You'll see those numbers start going down for your average buy price. So that way, when it runs back up, it'll quickly run, like you're getting more of a profit position. Now, one thing I did not do was I did not pull out any of my cash reserves to do these dips, to these dip purchases. I put more money in the market because it was dollar cost average time. We had we had some, it was also the DeFi reallocation time, and we're going into pay period. So we got one more cash infusion going into the market to, set things off and get stuff going. But it's important to identify and have those tokens, and actually this just really edifies the reason that I say people should be tracking their portfolio. Also, it takes away a lot of these nonsensical arguments that people have because they're emotionally attached to positions or coins or tokens, to where you can, people can't substantiate any of the stuff that they say because they're not tracking their portfolios. They're not tracking their trades. They don't know where the dips are. I understand calling some stuff early and then getting the gain off that. That's cool. But if you're constantly only revisiting one position, I am led to believe that you only have that one win. And we're winning across the board on multiple positions. It's called diversification. And while I'm not overly diversifying, in my opinion, for a bull run, you want to place some bets. Now there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of not getting emotionally attached to an outcome. For instance, me bringing Solana back into my portfolio. I am not a truster of Solana. I'm not a Solana advocate. It's the second largest position. Technically, it's the largest position at this point as far as what I have actively working, because the Lido staked Ether, that's already in the retirement. That's the long term. It's sitting in the ledger. It's never moving again. But we made those buys during this full run cycle, so it goes on here. It's just we make them big moves, and it is what it is. So Solana is actually, as far as the active portfolio is concerned, my number one holding. It is. I enjoy using the chain when it's up and working. I think it's great. I think it's just as good as any of the Ethereum layer 2s. I don't necessarily feel that it is better or think that technically it's better, especially after my experiences over this weekend. But what I do know is there is a lot of energy, a lot of degen activity. Now, does degen activity substantiate the market? Absolutely not. But just like with Shiba Inu and Doge last cycle, I'm totally up here and here for making plays against the degenerates that come in to gamble to get rich tomorrow. I do see Solana having a great bull run. From everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm hearing, I don't think that the degens that are on there do not care if they don't have access. A lot of the Solana holders are not actively active on chain. So when they hear about outages, they just don't understand. They don't get it. They don't care. They're just everybody's not having outages. Everybody's not having your coins locked up for an infinite amount of times. Now, as somebody who's active in the markets, I do have an allocation of liquidity that I'm providing over on Solana. I've got a couple of plays over in that ecosystem. That stated, come peak time when it's time to convert over, Solana's, unless something magical happens and they get their network in order to where it's consistent, because I've already seen stuff that from a liquidity provider perspective is red flaggish and not in a good way. But there's only been, to my knowledge, one outage that's been reported on. And that outage, I realistically, it was an inconvenience outage, and they got it back up faster than the outages that I experienced previous bull run. Am I noticing when the network is bogged down, when I'm in there moving my stuff around, interacting with smart contracts? Absolutely. It is reminiscent of my experience over on Polygon, and except for not as bad. Polygon's actually worse. Polygon bogged down or Polygon trying to do anything. It's more consistent. Every time I've put liquidity on Polygon, I've gotten to a point where I got so frustrated I had to pull it off. Happened again this bull run. It's pretty terrible. I don't like it. And But like you're noticing when the chain's under load, and I also don't like that. Like it's one of those things where I'm like, I know that this for this window of time, this is going to be my blue chip degen play as Solana, because I know it's almost in the sense that the VCs are going to get their money out of this, and I'm here for it. I'm going to get some of that money too. Like, it's just what it is. But I'm not emotionally tied to anything. I just follow the money. And when I look at the capital flows, all the money is still circulating around Ethereum, which if they could fix the fees would be fine. Like, if we could get the fees down to like $10 and under, I don't think that's a big ask. It would still be an order of magnitude more expensive than basically every other chain, which is still something to complain about, but at least it would be usable. Like, it would just make it more usable, because when you go in and you're doing complex transactions and it's $50 to $200, you're either having to throw way bigger money, but it also drives your cost basis up, which makes it a pain in the butt to invest in those ecosystem tokens unless you're doing it through a centralized exchange, just because the cost basis, it's one of the only places that the cost basis is actually higher in the DeFi land than the centralized exchanges. But, you know, as we're looking through, it's important to know that you're actually buying a dip versus buying a higher position that you're still in profit on and just dragging your cost basis up, because that makes, when you hit an actual dip for whatever project that is, worse. So we're just trying to maximize portfolio efficiency here. So like Injective is down 4.35%, but like that's not really an interesting dip for me because it's negligible. 10%, you're gonna start pulling numbers down. That's when I start looking. Over 10%, if it's something that I'm gonna looking to be in over the bull run, that's something I'm going, okay, this is very interesting. These are opportunities. These are positions that I would like to shore up and make better. So with that said, yeah, we got some more Celestia added to the coffers, and we got some more Osmosis. We got some really interesting stuff going on that chain. I've got a liquidity pool position over there that we're working on. And yeah, so let's jump over to the news. Next page, we're going to do the quick hits, and I got a special bonus news story for you that I found very interesting for those who are doubting Bitcoin. But let's do the crypto roundup. It's powered by eToro, brought to you by Delta Investment Tracker app, sponsor of the platform and the show, where we just do the rundown. We do the too long didn't read. I give some information, and then this will be in the link for those of you who want to do a little bit more in-depth reading on these posts. So this is covering through March 18th. Bitcoin hits $72.8 thousand all-time high before correcting. Bitcoin ETF sees record-breaking day of 1 billion. Best performing ETF launch ever. Just call it what it is. Winning. Apparently, some people think it's fluff, smoke, and mirrors. They're trying to distract us. And I was like, yeah, distract us from what? Like being able to beat inflation? I'm sure. That's fine. Major developments for the week. Let's talk about it. Bitcoin continues all-time high trajectory, hitting 72.8K before correcting. Now, on this, absolutely. The other thing is, the correction is not a collapse, people. There's no straight lines up. The price went down to the all-time high of 2 weeks ago. We went back to 2 weeks ago pricing, and everyone's running around screaming with their heads cut off as though their house is on fire. It's insane. Ethereum Dinkun upgrade goes live. Arbitrum introduces the Atlas upgrade and incorporating support for Dinkun and adding blob capabilities. The Dinkun upgrade, as far as layer 2s are concerned, amazing. Amazing. I actually ran into this really weird conundrum a few weeks back where I was doing multiple transactions and I forgot to add more Ethereum because fortunately, unfortunately, Arbitrum runs on Ethereum for transactions. Most layer 2s do, with the exception of Polygon. But Arbitrum, which I'm very active on, and Optimism, which I'm also very active on, both settle their transaction fees in Ethereum, not the native token. Not sure why they elected to do that, but what it does do, it made those transactions they got a little bit wonky. So it got up to a point to where it was over $1. Still low, but you're like, for complex transactions, for liquidity providing, those to my knowledge, unless you're deploying on those chains, I think that could probably be equally as expensive, if not more. They start getting expensive. So like I'm getting hit for like $1 here, $2 there. Some of these transactions I'm having to do like 2 and 3 transactions, collecting funds, moving funds around. And I ran out of Ethereum. So like then I got to a point to where I was kind of locked and I needed to get more Ethereum over to the chain. But like I also needed to get onto the chain to trade into Ethereum. So I needed to make sure that I had enough Ethereum on there to cover that. And it was a little bit perplexing. We got it sorted out, but it was wild. And I was like, whoa, like I've never run into a situation like that. Cause like I normally only keep about like maybe $5-10 in Ethereum on those chains, because you're dealing in change. So every once in a while you just put $5 on there and you can transact for like months at a time. Well, as the bull run hit, those prices drove up. They kept driving up. And they got around like, I'd say peak was like $2 and some change. But when you're doing like 3 and 4 transactions and they're all complex, so you're hitting the highest fee to get into the blockchain to get your stuff processed, it got expensive. And I hadn't used them post the Dinkin upgrade until this week. I get on there and all the transactions are 0, less than a cent, or a cent. At peak, 4 cents. And I'm like, yes, like we're back into the what the layer 2 is supposed to be, which is you're basically paying nothing for transacting. And it's amazing. And I went over, checked out Optimism. I got some liquidity over there, and it was great. 0 to 1 cent, maybe 3 cents. Oh, it was wonderful. So the upgrade worked. I wish they made a Dinkoon for Ethereum to bring those fees down. Can we get a Dinkoon for Ethereum, please? That'd be great. It'd be real nice. The Dubai police launches pilot project for criminal investigation data security using Cardano blockchain. Use case for Cardano. Haven't heard anything about Cardano in a minute. It's a hard chain to get to, hard chain to work on. There's no liquidity there. I'm not interested from a personal perspective because it does not cater to what I do, which means that I mean, there's going to be little to no DeFi there with no liquidity providers. They're doing their thing though. They got their use case in Africa now. The Dubai police is using it. It's being used. I just, the value prop on it for me, it's just not worth it. Like it's too high of a cap coin, and there's just better plays in the top 10, in my opinion. Bitcoin ETF products saw net inflows of 2.78 billion, with a record-breaking 1 billion in a day. The Bitcoin ETFs are going to be saving a lot of portfolios this year. There's a lot of Bitcoin-related products that are going to save some portfolios this year. There's going to be a lot of income generated moving towards the future. This is a transition, and those who are getting in early will benefit. Those who wait till later will also benefit, albeit not as much. But the game's changing, people. Get on board or get run over. Grayscale submits amended Form 19B-4 filing for a Grayscale Ethereum trust. Those Ethereum ETFs are coming. I can't wait for it. I'm excited. I think that we're going to see some massive shifts once that happens, Ethereum's already deflationary with the burning of Ethereum with the gas fees. One of the only reasons that I'm okay with the gas fees being obnoxious, it's just not a chain for the common man at this point during this bull run. It's like, if you're not moving over $1,000, it's not going to be worth it. Like you're just forced into bigger plays. So you really got to pick your positions wisely if you're going DeFi on Ethereum. MakerDAO releases project in-game details. I'm gonna have to tap into this and do like a little small blurb on what that is. Curve has introduced its lending platform, LlamaLend. Hey, there we go. I'm a fan of the Curve ecosystem. I do like it. Infrastructurally, it's a huge part of DeFi. It's multi-chain. It is highly utilized. It is great. I'm gonna have to jump over and find out about LlamaLend, see what they're doing over there. IMX will undergo a $104.62 million unlock on March 22nd, which was 2 days ago. Be interesting to see if people hold on to that or if there is a dip in price. Patient Capital Management has submitted a filing to invest up to 15% of its $1.4 billion opportunity trust into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Moves are being made, people. This is wild. Everyone's flooding into the ETFs, but it's there. You still got your gurus out there saying it's a scam. Okay, gurus. I guess you're smarter than everybody. USDT stablecoin to launch on the Celo blockchain. Now, I haven't interacted with Celo, but I'm assuming that they're going to have some action going on in regards to DeFi. So I might need to look into that if they're getting stablecoins launched on there. Stablecoins, especially once you get USDC, USDT on there so that you can get pairs so that you can set up a DeFi ecosystem, that could be interesting. Going to have to tap in on that. Now, time for our bonus news story. Every once in a while, we run into one of these, and it gets interesting. Oh, we can close that. That's on the way. BRICS. Argentina ditching the US dollar for Bitcoin. This is from Watcher Guru. I will have the link in the description to come over here and check this out. Despite the country's de-dollarization of its economy and rejecting the BRICS invitation. So Argentina said they're not messing with BRICS. They're like, we don't want to be on a team. We want to be left alone. I can relate. Argentinian citizens may already be ditching the US dollar for Bitcoin. A new report from the local cryptocurrency exchange Lemon revealed that the saving strategy in the country had preferred the digital asset to greenbacks. This is because America, the backing for every other country is in an inflationary state. We can't get inflation under control, which means that them saving in dollars is detrimental because they're losing buying power in dollars. Also, granted, dollars are better than their local currency, but they want out of that game because then they're beholden to a country who decides policies. They see what's going on with our border, and then they don't have control over our policies, our politics, what we do with inflation, how we combat inflation, how we handle our monetary system. But our monetary system affects their monetary system. So the citizens of their own volition have decided that they'd rather go with Bitcoin because Bitcoin, historically, obviously, you can contest, well, at the end of the bull cycle, there's a dip. And then what happens? It runs back up to all-time highs higher than the last bull cycle. So over the long term, in order to be able to generate wealth, these people who are living under financial duress daily as a result of the policies and the funding that we're implementing here in the US that is just completely rocking their economy, have decided to opt out and start using Bitcoin. They don't want to deal with BRICS. They don't want to deal with the US dollar. They said, we already have one bad daddy. We're not trying to have another bad daddy. We're going to go straight to the source. We're going to start switching over to Bitcoin. A lot of African countries have already done this. When we talk about de-dollarization, and you know what, we'll go ahead and throw this onto this, because since Richard Fain feels the need to have his Bitcoin moment, I have to have my Richard Fain moment. And it was one of the things that he said that was very interesting. He was commenting at the end of one of his live streams, because I do watch his live streams. I mean, it's remedial advice, but like I like to hear what the gurus are saying, especially the ones that keep talking disparagingly about Bitcoin, because then we have to do an episode over here where we clean up the inaccuracy in the statement. But he did say something that I found very interesting and very on the mark in the way that he's looking at it. But it's because of his age, color being ageist, and it's because of where he is in the financial system, being of the 1% himself, being at the top. He's already won. And he was talking about how he believes that Bitcoin is an attack on the dollar. And I found that very interesting, because when I first went all in on Bitcoin back in 2014, 15-ish, I'd been mining Bitcoin since 2013. But ever since I went all in on this space, it was my way of silently and peacefully protesting the policies that were going on within my country of origin, America, because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that they were making it so that more and more Americans can no longer buy a house. More and more Americans were funding all of these elderly geriatric people who would rather take out loans and have debt so that they can be comfortable and watch this whole thing collapse after they have passed on and they're long gone from this earth in comfort, setting their grandchildren, their children, their great-grandchildren up for a scenario to where they will be in a state, the state that we're currently in, a state of financial warfare, a state where we have no representation. Our government no longer represents us. As a matter of fact, most of the people in our government are actively doing things that are financially harming the citizens of this great nation intentionally. It's on purpose. They're making a peasant class. And so when Mr. Fain says he looks at Bitcoin as an attack on the dollar, it's an attack in the sense that there's a transitioning that's going to happen one way or another. And people are sick and tired of being told by these financial gurus that we need to just save and we need to do all these things that these old, decrepit men have done that worked for them that no longer works, but they still sit and tell people to do it while charging them money. Math is math. If you are holding on to gold, and I'm going to throw Peter Schiff into this too. If you're holding on to gold right now, and you've held on to gold since Bitcoin was made, you have made $300. Everything has gotten way more expensive than gold has gone up. It is cumbersome, it is hard to move, and it is easily confiscatable. Again, another old man who is in the 1%. Now, these guys are going to make it out of this system unscathed regardless because they're rich already. Allegedly, supposedly, respectfully. They are no longer in the trenches. They are no longer applying for home loans. They're telling you to just have money, just cash, easy. It's just easy. You just don't have debt for anything. We don't use that tool, even though every other actual rich person that I know uses debt. Now, granted, Peter Schiff isn't an anti-debt advocate, but like old Mr. Fain is. Now, when they're talking from their perspective and trying to scare you out of getting into Bitcoin, trying to scare you out of securing your future, my question is, Are either of them smarter than the CEO of BlackRock? Are any of them smarter than people who run countries? El Salvador, Argentina. Are they? Are they? Because it seems like everyone who's advocating and can't even acknowledge the best performing asset class over the last 15 years that considers themselves a financial expert would have to have some reason that they need you in the system. And like, as much, Peter Schiff specifically said that Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme, and the only value in it is that somebody's going to come in behind you and they're going to buy it later. You can say the same thing about gold, because I've never been paid in gold. I've never been offered to be paid in gold. And I've never been anywhere where I could go buy something with gold, period. Ever. I can't buy stuff with gold online. You know what I can do, though? I can buy stuff with Bitcoin online. Like if I wanted to spend Bitcoin, I don't want Bitcoin to be money. I think using Bitcoin as money is something that you would do if you were in a third world situation and you needed to transact in something that's more stable than the fluctuating, rapidly inflating local country's currency, and or you had issues getting a hold of dollars, because most of these countries that have horrendous fluctuations in their currency also are forcing people to transact in said currency. They don't want you out of it. They want you in that financial hellscape. The old system wants you in the old system. Now, that's not me saying you should not have a stock portfolio, but I think not having an allocation in Bitcoin at this point is financial suicide. I do. I think it's going to be recorded as the dumbest financial decision that most people make, is believing these gurus and being completely beholden to the old system with no hedge. If you don't believe in Bitcoin, 1 to 10% allocation. I really don't think that's a hard ask for an asset class, because if you don't believe in Bitcoin, then that means you believe in high diversification, which means that you got to have pools in everything anyways. You're not focused. So you should have an allocation of Bitcoin, even not believing in it, unless you are not a believer in allocation, because the thing that's coming, you want to be where the ball is. Now, me personally, I've admitted multiple times, extremely over leveraged into the Bitcoin ecosystem, the Bitcoin space, into crypto. Admittedly, I hedge back into traditional finance. That's the reason we're building out our brokerage portfolio. We're starting to try to get that portfolio to cover our bare necessities, our cut to the quick necessities, so that way we can start navigating in a different fashion to generate income. That's my hedge. That's going to be the small part of my portfolio. I mean, it might become a 50% part of my portfolio, because I do believe in stocks. It's just Bitcoin is the best performing vehicle to have your money in. So it's kind of hard for me to go, yeah, I should just dump all my money into the traditional finance market that's not performing near as good as Bitcoin. And then, we'll see that. Like, from a strategic standpoint, though, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin. So it's making more and more sense now that I've accumulated the amount of Bitcoin that I wanted to have to secure my retirement. That aside, we're still going to be doing real estate. I still want to own more property. Again, question being, is it better for me to build out that income portfolio first and then have that pay for the property, so that way I can continue on my investing clip that I'm on now? A lot of questions in there to be answered. We've got options, but that opportunity fund pool is funded. We've already hit the marker for that. Obviously, with the Bitcoin dip, we're going to buy more in, but once it runs back up, going to be even better. I'm excited about it. And that's the thing. It's like you see all this doom and gloom and all these people who are feeding the algorithm the doom and gloom. It's all over. And I'm like, I'm excited about what's going on. Like, once you start seeing the numbers start moving around and you start getting some forward momentum and that snowball actually starts rolling, this becomes a fun game. But you have to put in the work, you have to put in the sacrifice, you have to be disciplined and dedicated to the game. Finance is a game. Finance is also a team sport. You got to get your network up. You got to be around people that are talking about money. So that way you can get some ideas and insights. Somebody might put you on something that you didn't know. We're going to close out on that. It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero. Until the next time. Peace.
Cryptocurrency, currency, cryptocurrency, currency. She love cryptocurrency. Me have a hot sexy girl. Whoa. Yeah. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna go down and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna come up and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. Decentralized like a blockchain. Anyway you see me, girl, you know it not gonna stop rain. Pull up in the Beamer, all the Benz, yeah, the Bentley. Cryptocurrency, that's how we spending. We not in a lending. No for them a stake, yo. We not in a renting. Bad mind fussy them. Once see we ending. Smiling out with face, but call that pretending. Now left me 9 milli. Girl, so we trending. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna go down and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna come up and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. She love cryptocurrency, currency, cryptocurrency, currency, cryptocurrency, currency. She love cryptocurrency. MetaMask wallet. Cryptocurrency, currency, cryptocurrency, currency, cryptocurrency, currency. Coinbase wallet. Stack it up. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna go down and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. Me have a hot sexy girl, just a tip jar. She wanna come up and she dips her. She love dancehall and calypso. She no wanna cash, she wanna crypto. She love how me DeFi. And so me make she feel high. Digital currency, I wish she need. Inflation make the dollar get weak.